Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, and today we are discussing Texas versus Washington. This game is at 8:30. It's going to decide who makes the national title game. We're in the playoffs. I've already discussed the Rose Bowl. That has already been posted. It's Michigan versus Alabama. That game is already, that preview is already out. And if you guys don't know, these games are going to be played on New Year's. You know that. I'd be surprised if you didn't know that. But also, people expect that to be like a Saturday thing. But right now, they're played on New Year's at least this year, which this Sugar Bowl matchup is going to be very interesting. You have Washington, who's an undefeated team, 13-0, Pac-12 champion, and then on the other side you have a 12-1 Texas team. Their one loss is in the rivalry game against Oklahoma, but they've been dominant in pretty much every other game. I'm intrigued more by this matchup than the Michigan-Alabama one. I think with this matchup, there's so many different possibilities. There's a very high possibility this could be a blowout. There's a very high possibility of that. But there's also a very high possibility this game is going down to the wire. There's a lot of these games that Texas has played has been blowouts. And a lot of games that Washington's played has been down to the wire close games. And both teams earned this spot. Both teams have earned this. The best win that Texas has on the year is beating Alabama in Alabama. And the best win Washington has is beating Oregon twice. Oregon didn't lose any other game. But right now, the over-under for this game is 63.5. That is a very high over-under. And Texas is favored by 4. That's also important. So Vegas is thinking that Texas is going to win this game. That's what they're thinking. But it's in the area of this game is not a certified Texas win. This is not going to be in their favor completely. Texas, when I think of them, I think of their defense first. Because their defense is very good. They're very good to get after the pass. They're very good at getting sacks, pretty good rush defense. You saw that against Oklahoma State. They were just getting after the quarterback easily. Oklahoma State was with their backup, but they're in a Big 12 title game. They earned their spot, and Texas beat the crap out of them. They just did. And offensively, Texas just manhandled them too. Offensive line pushed them away. But those are skill positions. Their tight ends got into it. The running game was very good. Xavier Worthy had some big plays. A.D. Mitchell's going to be a big part because A.D. Mitchell's been great when it hits the playoffs. He's won 2 titles at Georgia. He is the one guy who has a winning record in multiple matchups against Alabama. He beat them when he was at Georgia. He also beat them this year again when he was at Texas. And then you have Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers is going to be the main guy for everything, which is, I think, obvious. Your quarterback's going to be your main guy. And with Quinn Ewers, he is experienced. He's been in this position before. He's performed well in big games. He's also sometimes been a little bit iffy in big games. That's why they rely on their defense so much. That's why it's a good thing to have a very good defense. So that if your quarterback doesn't play great, they can lift him up and help him out. This running game's also been very good too. I forgot the guy's name. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, the running game is very good. Also, Bert Auburn. I'm pretty sure that's the dude's name, the kicker. He's been very good too. And yeah, that's a great thing to have. A great kicker is very important to have. And it's a very good thing to have in these type of games. And sometimes games will decide on special teams. You got to have great players. You got Xavier Worthy who can return kicks, and you got Bert Auburn who can make a field goal from anywhere 55 in. That is very important to have. Then you have Washington. Washington has Michael Penix, who I thought should have been a Heisman, but I understand why he wasn't. This game is going to perform great. Washington has a tendency to play to the level of their competition, and a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't realize that because they think the only people who can do that is Georgia and Alabama, those teams. But Washington can do that too. They had close games against Arizona. They had close games against Arizona State. They had close games against Washington State. Arizona is good. It's now very good, but at the time was not ranked. Games against those teams, but they also win by about the same point margin against Oregon as they do those teams. It's same point margin against Oregon State than those teams. Stuff like that. You have a very good run game that Washington has. That was the main key that, in my opinion, against Oregon, was that whenever they got into the red zone, they were able to capitalize continuously because of their run game. That was their huge. I think his last name's Johnson or whatever. Number 21, he was able to run through them just easily. Ran through USC more than any other team did. They had like 250 yards, 300 yards rushing with just him alone. That's ridiculous. And then you have people like Romeo Odunze, who is a Blintikoff finalist, I'm pretty sure. He is an elite receiver. He will make big plays. He will go out and get the jump balls. They have a lot of guys in Washington who can go make the big plays deep, which was a big key in helping them beat Oregon. And that's also why they're 8-0 in one-score games this year. That's humongous. When big situations show up, they can make the big plays. And running the ball and throwing the ball is how they do it. And that's why Michael Penix was so important for this team. That's why he led the league, led the country in passing yards, because of the receivers that he has around him. And also, he can make phenomenal throws. He can make any throw he can possibly ask for. If you need to go deep, you can get that. If it's a short, that's fine. If you need to go middle, you can go middle. You can go anywhere on the field, and you can make a very well delivered throw. And he's very clutch too. When you need to drive, he can make a drive. But one thing is that this offense sometimes struggles. When that happens, the defense rises up to the occasion. They were up 21-3 against Oregon. Kind of let them come back. And Michael Penix threw an interception, and then immediately Washington got an interception right back. And then the momentum flipped back in Washington's favor. Washington capitalized and scored. I think they held Oregon up there, and then Washington scored again and got the lead even bigger. So you don't need to give this Washington team offensively you don't need a huge boost defensively, but you definitely need enough to give them an opportunity if they fail once, because this offense of theirs, when they strike, is very effective. But you got to give them opportunities. This special teams unit for Washington is also very good too. Kicker had a walk-off field goal against Washington State. Got a full-on scholarship because of that. Special teams return unit is also pretty good too. These two teams, the strength of Texas on the defensive line will match it'll be a very competitive match between the D-line versus the O-line of Washington. I think the D-line and O-line for this matchup for Texas, Washington will be the deciding factor. If they can get after Michael Penix, by the way, Michael Penix he can move, but he's not one of those guys who can just go out and just outrun you like Jaden Daniels. But if he has to move, he can move. But with Texas, if they can get after him and contain him like they did against Oklahoma State, my bad, they will probably be able to win this game because they're very good at stopping the run. Washington's going to be able to open up the run game by passing the ball. And I think they should be able to do that. They will be able to do that. But if you're Texas, you cannot let this be like Oklahoma. You cannot let this be like that. You cannot let a situation like Dillon Gabriel on that last drive. Remember that? Every pass he had was wide open because he just could not get to the quarterback. And he was just throwing dots after dots to every one of them. You cannot be like that. On the other side of the ball, for the other team, Texas offensively, they got to get your skill position players. You got to get your skill players the ball, like Xavier Worthy, like A.D. Mitchell. You got to get those guys the ball going deep. Bo Nix had some success throwing the ball a little bit further down the line, especially later in the game. Washington tried to run a prevent defense, throws a great pass. Then Oregon's guy took it like 40 yards further than possibly even should have and scored. Texas can do that. Texas, that's how they beat Alabama, was going deep. They hit the ball deep. This coaching staff for both teams are very good. They'll probably understand this. They got to protect the deep pass. They cannot let the quarterbacks get hitting deep. You cannot let Michael Penix get hit deep. You cannot let Quinn Ewers go deep too, because they're both very accurate quarterbacks. It's all about who's going to get after the quarterback, though. Who can stop the run and who can get after the quarterback. This will be a battle in the trenches that will decide this game. And I think this game will be close. I believe this game to be close. And you look at Texas in close games earlier this stuff here. The competition was not great in these close games. Only one I could say was there's 2 or 3 I could point out just off of my mind that were close games very late into it. I'm not going to count Alabama because they had like a 10-point lead later on with the ball. I'm not going to count that. I'm talking about late in games. Oklahoma and Kansas State. Those are the two ones that come to mind. Yes, they're on the fringe of being close, but not that close like those two were. Kansas State had some of the dumbest calls I've ever seen, play calling wise. They had a really terrible fourth down call on the goal line that they tried to run in overtime. That just didn't work. And Texas choked that lead that they had. But that's when I think they had Malik Murphy at quarterback. Then you have the Oklahoma situation, which you just let them go down the field, but you also failed on some conversion attempts that you had of your own inside the goal line. That stuff, those are the things that Washington has to focus on. I think Texas has grown from that situation, though. But sometimes things reoccur. Sometimes like that, things do occur again. And a team like Washington, they can force those things to reoccur. I get it's a rivalry game. I get it. But things can happen. Things might happen twice. This game is going to be very close. And it's going to come down to the wire. I have a strong hope. I have a strong faith in that. It'll be more. I think it'll be more Texas fans because it's in the Sugar Bowl. That's I'm pretty sure in New Orleans. It'll be in Louisiana. That will be more fans for Texas fans and Washington fans. Come down to coaching. Come down to great play calling. Come down to players' execution. I want to trust a team that's been in that situation more. I want to trust a guy who was a Heisman finalist. It'd be hypocritical for me to say that Michael Penix should have been the Heisman and then not pick a Washington in the first game of the playoffs. I'm going to rock with Washington in this one. I got this game being very close, though. I think it'll be kind of around what Oregon's score was. I think that score was like 35-31, something like that. I got the score being 37-34. Give me Washington in this one. I've been riding with them all year long. I've been kind of disrespecting Texas too, but I'm continuing that trend. I'm disrespecting Texas, and I'm riding with Washington. I got the Huskies in this one. I could definitely see Texas winning, but I think if Texas is going to win, it's going to be in the blowout. I think Washington's going to have a big advantage, though, in close games. If they can keep it, if it's close, I give it to Washington. If it's going to be a blowout, I give it to Texas. But I have a feeling it's going to be more of a close game than a blowout. That's why I'm going in Washington's favor. It's going to be a very fun game, though. I'm very excited to see this matchup. So, yeah. Put down in the comments what your opinion about this is. Give your own opinion. I would love to hear that. Give your opinion about how you feel about my opinions and stuff. And, yeah, I've already given out my Rose Bowl prediction between Michigan and Alabama. I've already given that out. Here's this one. So check out that video if you already haven't already. Hope you all have a great day. Stay safe, y'all. Merry Christmas, y'all, because we're only 2 days away. And yeah, remember the real meaning of Christmas, and God bless y'all.